Welcome to Reality TV Podcast, the first update we have today. We are diving deep into the legal, relational, and surprisingly sophisticated intellectual property battles that are defining the Real Housewives franchises right now. This is a multi-city update, and we really have to jump in where the most intense intersection of law and shade is happening. Salt Lake City. They're giving us back-to-back major updates, starting with the trademark dispute that has set, I think, a fascinating precedent for how viral insults get monetized in the modern era.
It's fascinating because we're moving beyond just, gossiping about a catchphrase. We're really in the realm of legal ownership now. In this situation in Salt Lake City, it forces us to confront the economic reality of televised drama. It's not just talk, it's tangible intellectual property.
Okay, let's unpack this immediately, because on the surface, it sounds like pure chaos, but it has these deep legal ramifications. The core phrase is high body count hair, a line that was, popularized by Angie Katsanevis when she was throwing shade at Brittany Bateman. But the real story is Brittany's move to successfully trademark that phrase, an insult directed at her. She basically claimed ownership of the ammunition that was used against her.
And this is where we have to make a really crucial legal distinction that I think often confuses the public and, to be honest, probably confuses the people who are arguing about it on screen. Legal analysts, especially the ones at the Bravo docket, have clarified this really well. A trademark is not the same thing as a patent.
Yeah.
A patent protects an invention. A trademark protects a brand identifier. It tells the consumer where the product or service comes from.
So that common idea that the person who said the phrase first automatically owns it is one. Completely irrelevant in a legal trademark sense.
Entirely irrelevant. Legally, the principle hinges on who used the phrase first in commerce as a brand identifier. Think of it this way. If Angie had, run out the next morning and filed paperwork to use high body count hair on a line of T-shirts or hair care or even a podcast title,
then she would have had the claim.
She would have established her claim. But she didn't. Brittany did.
And because Brittany was the one who actually applied to use it commercially, to brand products or services with it, she was, totally within her rights to claim it.
Precisely. Under the United States Patent and Trademark Office guidelines, yes. It's a classic example of, legal opportunism. Brittany saw the immediate viral value of the moment she was publicly insulted, and she just capitalized on it faster and more effectively than the person who delivered the insult. She secured the commercial use, and that is what the trademark protects. It's a savvy business move, for sure, but one that completely disrupts the unwritten sort of ethical rules of reality TV.
Where the original shade usually belongs to the person who said it.
Exactly.
That distinction really changes everything about how we look at these viral moments. It rewards speed and business savvy over, originality.
It does, and it raises a really important question for you, the listener. In an economy where virality is instantaneous, how much time does a reality star even have to convert a quotable line into a legal asset? Brittany proved that being the target of the shade doesn't stop you from controlling its commercial future.
Right. And when she revealed the trademark, Lisa Barlow's immediate reaction was the most typical one. That's not yours. That speaks to that ethical unwritten code we were just talking about. But Brittany had her own very strong rationale.
Oh, her response was a brilliant piece of reality television justification. She just said, I stole it, and claimed it because she was the one who took it on the chin.
Oh.
She's reframing the action not as theft, but as this act of powerful emotional reclamation. She suffered the insult, so she feels she should be the one to profit from it.
And Angie, of course, was appalled. Her specific complaint wasn't just about the money. It was about, creative integrity, suggesting Brittany lacked any originality.
Angie's shadeback was so cutting. She pointed out that Brittany has no other witty lines beyond her usual ting, ting, ting. So by stealing Angie's line, Brittany essentially confirmed Angie's view that she couldn't generate her own memorable content. She had to, appropriate a viral moment created at her own expense just to stay relevant in the story. It elevates the whole thing from a trademark issue to a commentary on Brittany's value to the show.
We also should probably touch on the terminology itself, high body count. Because while it was used as this, hair-related fluff on the show, that phrase has a much darker and more charged history in certain online communities.
That's some crucial context. The term high body count is heavily associated with red pill internet communities, particularly those surrounding polarizing figures like the ex-kickboxer Andrew Tate. In those spaces, the term is used to critique and, frankly, often shame women for their past sexual activity.
So when Angie used it, even if she just meant it as light shade about hair extensions or appearance, she was potentially tapping into a very loaded phrase with some pretty misogynistic undertones from toxic parts of the internet.
Exactly. And that adds a whole other layer of seriousness to the initial insult. Whether Brittany or Angie were fully aware of that deeper internet meaning or not, Brittany's decision to now brand her businesses with that terminology is doubly provocative. She's not just monetizing shade, she's monetizing a phrase that carries some significant cultural baggage.
That is an extensive look at an IP issue. Now we have to shift abruptly to a topic of far greater gravity and seriousness involving Brittany. The tone shifts from professional business maneuvering to immediate personal safety concerns.
Yeah, this is a deeply concerning development. John Underwood, who is Brittany's second husband, was arrested and is now facing a felony charge in Utah. And we should be clear, this is not a misdemeanor. A felony charge indicates serious criminal behavior. The charge stems from what the court documents allege is continuous harassment and multiple violations of a protective order that was issued against him back in 2023, right in the middle of their divorce.
And protective orders are meant to create a safe zone. So what were the specific actions that the court saw as continuous harassment and violation of that order?
The documents detail a pattern of escalating, very deliberate interference that was clearly intended to disrupt her safety and her peace. This wasn't just like accidental contact. The allegations include tampering with her electrical box at her house to cut her power.
Wow.
And strategically rerouting her mail to either intercept it or just stop her from getting it. These are very invasive, targeted acts. He was also reportedly seen staring at her from the maximum distance allowed by the order, which is just a deeply unsettling act designed to intimidate while technically trying to skirt the law.
The doxing element, though, that seems like the most severe violation because it immediately exposed her to danger from totally outside threats.
It's the most modern and I think the most dangerous form of harassment. Court records allege he posted her private cell phone number publicly on TikTok, and he accompanied it with the comment, "There you go, give her a call."
Mm-hmm.
And the results were immediate and severe. Brittany started receiving unpleasant messages from strangers, and most terrifyingly, the doxing resulted in unknown people coming to her house.
That is just a profound violation of safety and privacy. It transforms a private dispute into a public risk. The felony charge is clearly reflecting how serious and direct a threat these actions were to her well-being.
Exactly. When a protective order is in place, any attempt to breach it, especially when you compound it with acts that invite public harassment or physical intrusion, it moves very quickly into serious criminal territory. It really puts the whole drama of the show into a stark and unsettling perspective.
And amid all of this extreme legal stress, Brittany's personal life does seem to be taking a turn towards some stability, which is a sharp contrast to the gravity of her ex-husband's situation. She has reconciled with her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jared Osmond.
The relationship has definitely been a roller coaster for viewers, but she recently confirmed their engagement is moving forward. And she shared a detail that I think speaks volumes about her experiences. She physically keeps the engagement ring on her person. She noted that she won't wear it until he puts it on her finger, but she keeps it close so he can't take it back.
That seemingly small detail, a defensive posture around the physical ring, is just incredibly telling. It reflects the trauma and uncertainty from previous relationships where assets or promises were, used as weapons.
It's a very practical, if a little heartbreaking, mechanism of self-protection. I mean, given the intense legal and financial conflicts she's navigating, from the trademark battle to these protective order violations, it's understandable that she views promises and physical assets with a high degree of cynicism and defensive preparation. She's fighting for stability on multiple fronts.
It definitely anchors the reality of her life in Salt Lake City, moving from clever legal maneuvers to, serious threats to her home and family. Okay, let's stay in Salt Lake City, but shift gears to Meredith Marks, who recently gave her side of the story on Watch What Happens Live, particularly about that alleged confrontation with Brittany on a flight.
Meredith's denial was just unwavering and comprehensive. She maintained that she never spoke to Brittany on the plane. What's interesting, though, is not just the denial itself, but the logic she used to counter the claims.
She used the ultimate contemporary defense, the absence of video evidence.
It's a compelling modern argument. Meredith argued that the first-class cabin was not as secluded as the cast implied. Contrary to what Heather Gay said, Meredith claimed there were 12 other passengers in first class, not 8. Her logic rested on this fact. If such a dramatic, explosive confrontation had taken place in a closed public space, especially among reality television personalities, someone would have filmed it and leaked it. The lack of evidence, in her mind, equals a fabricated story.
But doesn't that feel like a massive flaw in her logic? I mean, just because no one filmed it doesn't mean it didn't happen. That feels like the ultimate reality star deflection.
Yeah.
Unless the proof goes viral, the truth doesn't exist.
That's a very perceptive critique. It's less a legally sound argument and more an extremely sophisticated piece of reality TV spin. She knows that the audience understands the, omnipresence of cell phone cameras, so by framing the silence of the rest of the cabin as evidence of her innocence, she's exploiting our expectation of instant documentation. It's a PR masterstroke, really. It effectively shifts the burden of proof onto her accusers, asking them, where is the receipt? In an environment where receipts are usually everywhere.
And when she was pressed on the audience being skeptical, she just completely shrugged it off.
She declared she knows the truth and doesn't care about audience perception. This is the stance of a seasoned star who understands that engaging too much with skepticism just validates the lie. She prioritizes her own internal certainty over the external narrative, which, paradoxically, often makes the audience even more curious about the gap between the two.
She also methodically picked apart the inconsistencies in the accounts given by Brittany, Heather, and Mary Cosby.
She was so meticulous. She focused specifically on the varying timelines the cast members presented. Their stories ranged wildly, claiming the incident lasted 2 hours, 5 hours, or even 6 hours. Meredith countered this by pointing out the simple fact that the flight itself was not 6 hours long. She framed this lack of consistency as proof that the entire story was, at a minimum, grossly exaggerated, saying they don't have a consistent story to begin with. She used factual data, the flight time, to dismantle their emotional narrative.
Moving beyond the plane drama, Meredith had some interesting commentary on the high body count hair trademark dispute, and she confirmed the distinction we made earlier.
She did. She acknowledged the legal reality. Brittany is legally not in the wrong. However, she added the crucial caveat that, historically, the cast functions under a different code. On the show, a phrase is viewed as belonging to the person who said it, regardless of IP law. Meredith's comment neatly summarizes that conflict between the show's internal ethical code and the external legal system. The cast might be mad, but Brittany is protected.
Another area where Meredith showed her strategic thinking was in the split of Bronwyn Newport and Todd Bradley. She deliberately chose to stay neutral.
And this wasn't passive avoidance. It was a deliberate protective measure based on past trauma. Meredith recounted an incident last season where she tried to support Bronwyn as a friend, but that support was later spun and interpreted as her supporting Todd, which put her in a really negative light. She drew a firm boundary, stating she won't ever do that again. She learned that commenting on her friends' marriages, even with good intentions, just results in her own drama being manufactured.
Okay, let's talk about her relationships with other cast members, starting with Mary Cosby.
Right. Despite the public perception of constant ups and downs and tension, especially with Mary's unpredictable nature and her relationship with Angie, Meredith insists their core friendship is intact. She stated they love each other and are currently in a very good space now. This suggests their relationship sort of operates outside the usual petty squabbles, maybe reflecting a shared sense of being outsiders within the group dynamic.
What about Whitney Rose? Meredith accepted her apology but still managed to deliver some significant shade at the same time.
Oh, yes. She accepted the apology, but when Whitney claimed her concern for Meredith was friendly, Meredith responded by advising Whitney to be more concerned about herself than me. That's a classic, sharp dismissal. It's a professional way of saying, your life is messy, focus on that, and stop analyzing mine. It minimizes Whitney's attempt at reconciliation by questioning her standing to offer concern in the first place.
And then there's her ongoing, very fraught dynamic with Heather Gay. Meredith sees Heather's continued hostility as strategic punishment.
Meredith believes Heather's resistance to any resolution stems from a perceived betrayal. She thinks Heather wanted to punish me for not jumping aboard on the Lisa Barlow gang up. This is really key to understanding Meredith's whole narrative. She asserts her independence, declaring she is not a follower but a leader. Her refusal to align herself strategically against Lisa, her closest ally, is what she believes truly alienated Heather. It proves that loyalty often matters more than conflict resolution on these shows.
We have a few rapid-fire final points for Meredith regarding this season. She had an uncharacteristically positive take on the reunion.
She described the reunion as very cathartic and loved that she got a lot off my chest. The only critique she offered was very self-aware. She admitted the whole thing was very long and she could have made it a little shorter.
And a quick confirmation on a frequent point of speculation: drug tests.
She confirmed it The
Yeah.
RHOSLC cast did not take their drug tests, which always provides fodder for viewer debate about the transparency required of reality stars.
She also drew some new boundaries, stepping in to protect her son, Brooks Marks.
In speaking about the cast of Next Gen NYC, she named Charlie Zakour as her least favorite castmate because he spoke negatively about my family. That protective instinct, particularly toward Brooks, is a consistent driver for Meredith's actions, and it demonstrates where her true boundaries lie.
And finally, she saved a very pointed clapback for Bronwyn, who suggested Meredith be benched next season for not sharing enough.
Bronwyn's criticism was about Meredith's secrecy, but Meredith turned it right back on her, citing that Bronwyn also frequently uses sealed claims to avoid sharing critical details about her own life. It was a clear-cut case of calling out hypocrisy, arguing that if sharing is the prerequisite for staying on the show, Bronwyn shouldn't be casting stones.
Salt Lake City definitely provided us with a masterclass in how legal maneuvering and strategic denial intertwine with reality fame. Okay, so let's transition now from the snowy mountains to the perpetual sunshine of Beverly Hills, focusing on Kyle Richards' remarkably candid interviews about her life following her separation from Mauricio Mansky.
That separation remains one of the most talked about splits in Bravo history, and Kyle is navigating the waters of being suddenly single after decades of marriage. The rumors are flying, particularly those trying to set up Mauricio.
She specifically addressed the gossip that Mauricio was being set up with Rachel Zoe, who herself separated from Roger Berman. Kyle's response was classic biting humor.
Oh, she immediately joked that Rachel is too old for him, but she quickly clarified that this wasn't shade toward Rachel, but a slight to Mao because of his perceived pattern of preferring younger women. The fact that people were trying to fix up so quickly didn't surprise her at all. She noted that in their Hollywood circle, as soon as someone is single, everyone rushes to play matchmaker.
And in stark contrast to Mauricio, Kyle confirmed she is taking a very deliberate break from dating entirely.
She's holding firm, not dating, and specifically not engaging with dating apps, which she acknowledged is how most people meet today. Her stance is one of peace and acceptance. She finds genuine contentment just being home, focusing on her immediate circle, her daughters, her friends, and her animals. She even embraced that sentiment of the popular meme about canceling plans, just enjoying the quiet life she's built.
And that focus on home comfort is underlined by a lovely little detail. She had her Christmas trees up since November 1st.
That detail speaks volumes about her emotional state, doesn't it? It's a need for stability, for comfort, and for embracing the small personal joys during a period of massive public transition. She's creating a cozy sanctuary to ride out the emotional storm of a public separation.
However, that tranquility seems to be under threat by her fractured relationship with longtime co-star Dorit Kemsley. It seems to stem from claims of Kyle failing to offer adequate support during Dorit's own marital issues and eventual divorce from PK.
Kyle's defense was forceful and laced with some high skepticism. She suggested that Dorit has been actively looking for something with her nonstop. Kyle insisted she has been an exemplary friend, doing all the things that you're supposed to do as a friend, reaching out, texting, inviting her to events. She firmly declared her side of the street is clean.
That suggests a fundamental breakdown, not just in their friendship, but in trust itself. Kyle believes she's being unfairly targeted or scrutinized by Dorit just for drama.
It's deeper than just a fight. It's a collapse of a long-term alliance. For 15 years, Kyle, Erika, and Dorit have formed the functional core of this franchise. The fact that Kyle views Dorit's complaints as looking for something implies she sees the drama as manufactured or strategic on Dorit's part, rather than a genuine expression of pain.
And Kyle admitted the fight between the three longest-running members, herself, Erika Jane, and Dorit, was very, very dramatic and entirely unexpected among their closest circle.
It creates a seismic shift in the show's foundation. This isn't just, ancillary drama. It's the core collapsing. Kyle acknowledged the feeling that this is wrong, given their shared history. It speaks to the extreme pressure they're all under, navigating separate personal crises while being filmed, causing their alliances to buckle under the strain.
And according to Kyle, they're still not okay. But she holds out hope that the reunion, particularly after seeing the season back, will provide some kind of resolution.
The reunion viewing process is critical. Seeing yourself back can sometimes force a moment of clarity or, humility. Kyle is hoping that watching the emotional damage play out will compel them to resolve it, though she has clearly prepared herself for the opposite outcome, too.
And Kyle also spoke about her tension with Bozoma St. John, another case where Kyle feels she was unfairly targeted. She claimed Boz's statements about their friendship just didn't align with reality, stressing that she had made significant efforts, including sending flowers.
Kyle is clearly operating under the assumption that many of these conflicts this season are not organic, but strategic. She is heavily implying that cast members, especially newer ones like Boz, might be leveraging conflict with the longest-running cast member to secure their spot. She said she wonders if people were just trying to have a problem with me, just to have a problem with me. She suggested Bozoma's actions might have been influenced by Boz's own existing tensions with Dorit, making Kyle an unfortunate casualty of crossfire.
The ultimate commentary on caste dynamics came when Kyle addressed Garcelle Beauvais' statement about only considering returning to RHOBH if Erika Jane left.
That was a fiery response. Kyle immediately called Garcelle's comment a low blow and so rude, especially considering Erika's tenure and status within the franchise. But Kyle took it further, suggesting Garcelle couldn't handle it, implying a lack of resilience or toughness required for the current high-pressure dynamic of the cast.
And she highlighted Garcelle's contradictory behavior, noting Garcelle had previously expressed interest in maintaining a friendship with Kyle off-show, only to leave the reunion and then unfollow Kyle on social media.
That contradiction is significant. If Garcelle truly wanted an off-screen friendship, unfollowing her ally post-reunion suggests that the show's narrative demands, or maybe the pressure from her own base, outweighed any personal relationship. And that just reinforces Kyle's sense that Garcelle is playing a strategic game.
Okay, we now move to Orange County for a deeply sensitive update concerning Meghan King and Jim Edmonds' custody situation, especially regarding the imminent move to Tennessee.
This situation has been complicated and fraught with serious allegations. To provide some context for you listening, Jim was granted full custody of their 3 children, Aspen, and the twins, Hayes and Hart, following a highly publicized incident. This happened after Meghan allegedly gave her son Hayes unprescribed Ritalin and asked school staff to administer it, which led to a Child Protective Services investigation. For a time, Meghan was restricted to supervised visitation only.
And the current focus is the finalized agreement surrounding Jim's relocation to Tennessee. What's the strategic approach Jim has taken with this custody agreement? It seems to differ between the legal document and the day-to-day reality.
Sources indicate Jim is operating with dual strategies. On paper, the document grants him full sole custody. However, the reality is that the kids are still with Meghan a lot of the time. The source claimed Jim wants it to look like on paper that he has custody full-time, but it's not necessarily sustainable for him to manage all the time.
So why would Jim insist on full custody on paper if he needs Meghan's involvement in reality?
It's largely about control, legal leverage, and perception. By maintaining full custody on paper, Jim secures maximum legal control over decisions about the children's schooling, medical care, and relocation. It provides a legal safety net and absolute decision-making power. At the same time, if he allows Meghan flexible, practical visitation, it reduces his personal childcare burden while keeping the legal structure firmly in his favor. It's a calculated legal mechanism that places the mother in a less secure and potentially more expensive position for any future modification requests.
The move to Tennessee is imminent. Jim recently allowed Meghan non-supervised visits, taking the children to a holiday mart and even overnight care. Was this a permanent change to the order?
No, sources clarify that these were acts of kindness allowed by Jim specifically before the permanent move. The finalized agreement specifies she will only see the children for a few days around Christmas. The recent non-supervised visits were a temporary measure of goodwill before the children relocate across state lawns, creating a profound physical separation.
The emotional toll of this must be immense for Meghan, facing this relocation and reduced access. She recently posted a cryptic message on Instagram.
She did. She shared a reflective note thanking the universe and mentioning filling cracks with color and purpose. This language of resilience and finding light. It speaks to someone attempting to cope with a finalized legal process that has resulted in a deep loss of day-to-day physical connection with her children. It's a statement of trying to find optimism amid a massive life upheaval.
The complexity of legal strategies and emotional consequences in this custody battle really underlines the high stakes these reality figures face off-screen. Okay, let's jump to Atlanta now to cover Condi Burse's ongoing divorce from Todd Tucker.
Yep.
She filed earlier this year, and the split was publicly revealed in late November.
This separation is proving to be far more than just simple parting of ways. It's a high-stakes financial negotiation. Tite is reportedly challenging their prenuptial agreement, which immediately complicates the division of Candy's extensive assets and her business empire. On top of that, reports indicate that Todd was allegedly talking to other women before the filing, which adds grounds for potential hostility and leverage in the negotiations.
Candy herself has been remarkably open about the emotional pressure this is exerting on her, particularly during a recent Amazon Live session. She sounds like she's hitting a breaking point.
She described herself as incredibly stressed, characterizing her current life as a season where a whole bunch of stuff just keeps happening back to back. She's dealing with multiple crises at the same time. Crucially, she revealed an acute personal tragedy. Her uncle recently died from cancer.
So you're dealing with a challenging prenup fight, rumors of infidelity, managing an empire, and then losing a close family member to cancer? That really puts the reality show drama into a devastating perspective.
It's the compounding effect of stress that is so dangerous. The demands of running her restaurants, her production company, her retail lines, all while enduring both a messy divorce and personal grief. It means she has virtually no safe emotional space. It's an overwhelming period for her, far exceeding any typical relationship drama.
And the dynamics with her mother, Mama Joyce, are famously volatile. Candy reported that the existing tension between her mom and Todd has actually gotten worse amid the divorce.
That underlying familial friction, which has been a storyline since day one, is intensifying. Candy noted that they had a brief period of harmony after their children, Ace and Blaze, graduated. But now, with the divorce proceedings underway, her mom is back to not feeling us. This may be Mama Joyce either feeling validated in her historical dislike of Todd or strategically aligning herself with Candy to provide support and perhaps even influence the financial outcome. It makes the co-parenting discussions even more challenging.
Next up, we have a major figure returning to reality television who has long resisted the call of the Real Housewives. Kimora Lee Simmons. She's back with Kimora. Back in the fab lane, but has explicitly turned down RHOBH.
She confirmed she was asked a lot to join the Beverly Hills franchise, and her reason for refusal is very instructive about the differences between reality formats. She said she wanted to avoid manufactured drama and fighting with the women, which she felt was just inherent to the Housewives formula. She prefers a show focused on her family, her business, and her lifestyle. A curated return to fabulosity.
And ironically, despite wanting to avoid manufactured drama, she has found herself embroiled in a very public, very high-stakes financial dispute with her ex-husband, Russell Simmons, that is far more dramatic than any table flip.
The dispute exploded after Kimora gave an interview, stating she doesn't have a relationship with the fathers of her 5 children. Russell, who's the father of her 2 eldest daughters, reacted aggressively on Threads, hitting back with detailed counterclaims. He revealed he gave her $50,000 a month for 20 years, was the godfather to her other 3 kids, and then delivered this massive allegation. She stole my stock and then threatened to deny him access to the children if he took legal action.
And that stock theft allegation isn't just social media rhetoric. It's tied to a major civil lawsuit Russell filed back in 2021 against Kimora and her subsequent ex-husband, Tim Leisner. We really need to unpack the gravity of that alleged stock transfer.
The lawsuit centers on 4 million shares of Celsius energy drink stock that belonged to Russell. The core allegation is that Kimora and Tim Leisner transferred these shares. This massive asset transfer was allegedly used to cover Tim Leisner's significant legal and bail fees related to a high-profile money laundering case he was involved in. This links Kimora directly to international financial crime allegations and the high-stakes world of asset concealment.
So this isn't just about dividing assets, it's about alleged criminal maneuvers involving millions and millions of dollars. The implications are staggering.
It connects their personalized divorce, co-parenting to a major financial scandal. The valuation of Celsius stock has been volatile, but 4 million shares represent enormous wealth. The fact that Russell alleges they were used to bail out another husband adds an extraordinary layer of betrayal and financial recklessness.
And Kimora's response to Russell was brilliant because it leveraged his current geographical situation right back against him.
Kimora immediately refuted his claims as lies. But her masterstroke was questioning why he was typing his claims from a non-extradition country, advising him to go negotiate and answer your accusers. This is a profound jab that brings the entire conversation back to Russell's significant legal liabilities in the U.S.
And for you listening who may not recall the context, Russell Simmons has been living in Bali since 2017. Why is that specific location so crucial?
He moved there following multiple women coming forward with serious sexual misconduct accusations. Bali, as part of Indonesia, is generally considered a non-extradition country for U.S. criminal and often civil cases. Reports suggest Russell currently owes his accusers around $8 million, dollars, and this location effectively shelters him from U.S. legal actions, civil suits, and potential criminal inquiries. So Kimura's public reminder of his location is a devastating rhetorical move, suggesting he lacks the moral standing or legal accountability to be accusing her of theft.
Finally, let's wrap up this deep dive with the OG of the OC, Vicki Gunvalson. She is gearing up for a grand return to the Real Housewives of Orange County after an 8-year absence, and she's also filming an Ultimate Girls Trip.
Vicki is re-entering the Bravo universe with maximum disruption. She was asked about the current RHOC cast and provided a very unfiltered assessment. She said she finds the current cast irrelevant, and the show itself has become stupid. She is positioning herself as the cure, stating her mission is to get the stupid out of the show.
That is a direct challenge to the current production and casting choices. She is essentially saying the show is failing, and I am the fix.
It's a strategic move, very common among returning OGs. By criticizing the current cast as irrelevant, she instantly elevates her own perceived importance and relevance. She wants viewers to believe that she alone can restore the franchise to its former glory.
And she issued a direct warning to the current stars about her impending return.
When asked if her co-stars should be scared, Vicki's answer was unequivocal. Well, they all should be. She sees her return as a competitive venture, ready to disrupt the established dynamics and claim center stage, suggesting that she will bring the necessary authenticity and volatility that she feels has been missing.
She didn't stop there either. She provided some specific shade for individual figures.
She named Slade Smiley, a perennial antagonist, as the thirstiest husband in the franchise, maintaining that long-standing feud. She also weighed in on Heather Dubrow, stating flatly that she would not put Heather in the funny category, suggesting a lack of personality or charm. The only person she offered a partial compliment to was Kelly Dodd, noting she likes Kelly as long as Kelly likes you, acknowledging Kelly's equally fiery, if complicated, nature.
Her filming schedule over the next few months is relentless. It spans multiple shows and continents.
It confirms her renewed commitment to the franchise. She starts filming RHAGT mid-January. Immediately after that, she has a necessary trip to Mexico to renew her permanent resident card. Then, RHOC's Season 20 filming begins mid-February. This intense commitment means she will be a driving force in Bravo content for the foreseeable future.
And her final, most classic Vicki moment came when she shaded the host of the podcast she was speaking on, Nick Leon.
That was a perfect piece of unfiltered reality. She mentioned she had been working out that morning and thought, oh, I get to do this stupid Nick Viles thing again, before questioning aloud, how is this benefiting me? It's vintage Vicki fulfilling her professional obligations while simultaneously complaining about their utility, which is exactly the kind of genuine, non-manufactured drama she excels at.
This entire deep dive gives us a panoramic and often sobering view of the reality landscape, from complex international financial feuds to felony protective order violations.
The true takeaway here is that beneath the surface of televised shade and drama lies a complicated world of legal reality, massive financial risk, and complex intellectual property ownership. Fame doesn't shield these women, it really just amplifies every consequence.
And circling back to where we started, that high body count hair trademark battle in Salt Lake City, it truly represents the new frontier of reality TV risks and assets. If a catchphrase or a piece of shade becomes famous overnight, does the legal definition of ownership, which is tied to use in commerce, truly override the ethical claim of the person who originally coined the line?
That is the ultimate question for you, the listener, to mull over. We are in an era where spontaneous conflict televised globally can translate instantly into a tangible legal asset protected by federal law. Consider the speed at which reality fame commodifies words and what that means for creative ownership among personalities whose job is inherently to be provocative. This shift suggests that future conflicts will be settled not just at the reunion, but potentially in a federal courthouse.
A truly fascinating concept that ensures the legal departments of these production companies will be busier than ever. That's all the deep dive we have time for today.